All right, we're having a few technical difficulties with the microphones, but we'll go ahead and get started. Morning, Representative Jones. Thank you, members. I'll call this meeting to order. The Subcommittee of Higher Education Appropriations. This will be our first meeting of this year on the budgets. We're going to deal with the 2018 amended today. We're not going to vote anything out today. This is just an opportunity to effectively introduce to members of the committee the amended budget. Do you have the tracking sheet? Most of you have your budgets. Patrick, do they have track sheets for? Okay. Oh, well, as you know, the amended budget is generally now everybody has this, correct? That needs it. Okay. The governors and the agency request and the base budget. The governor's rec for the changes that we need to make in the 18 amended. Those of you who were able to attend some of the original budget hearings last week heard from the departments, and there wasn't a great deal of change in the amended. Let's just start through. We've got several individuals from the regents, from the TCSG, from independent colleges are here. We've got representatives of Georgia Student Finance and all of the budget units that we have. Most of the big questions are always going to happen in the 19 budget. We'll do a deeper dive. I want to talk about a few things that I anticipate, and I want to ask you what you want to talk about in the big budget as we plan some hearings for that after we deal with this. With the snow days, I haven't yet gotten from the chairman what our schedule is to actually have this voted out. I suspect it'll happen this week, and we'll be given some instructions on when they want this out so that the full committee can deal with the amended. But the amended itself really doesn't have any significant changes. Are there any questions that maybe any of the departments can answer on the amended budget right now? One of the changes you'll see in the amended, and I want to talk about this in depth in the big budget, is the transfer. The workforce development budget, the entire $73 million is coming over from economic development into TCSG effectively. That's the governor and state recognized the new head of that. Many of you have been around here a long time, knew Laura Gamage, who's going to be in charge of that, and Julia Ayers, those two. But it's a $73 million budget. There's just a very tiny change just in here. It's not really worth a deep dive, but you might want to take some time to look at that. There's a lot there. That's $73 million, and that's not done specifically like we usually operate in this committee. So it's something we need to take a look at. I'd like to start off our oversight of that budget with a real comprehensive analysis of what we've got so we can get it off on the right foot, if nothing else. Chairman Penny has had some great input into this over the years, so she's got a lot of work she's done. She's going to share with us and our budget analysts. So just a heads up on that. And that's a particularly important program for economic development with what's happening in our state on all levels, but also with BRAC coming, we've got everybody who represents any area of this state is going to be impacted by that, and that budget is going to be where a lot of the efforts to stave off any BRAC losses in Georgia is statewide. So there's a lot of importance in there, and every one of us has a base that's an economic engine in our area, so we need to think about that as well. So I'm looking. I can name the bases in everybody's district sitting out here. So it's as you know, those are economic development engines we can't afford to overlook, and we've got a 3-year window, but we need to start planning now. So are there any questions just in general on the amended budget? Anybody got anything they want to add to that? Any questions of the agencies or the systems that are here? All right. Well, then let's talk a little bit about the general. I want to get your input of what we want to do this year with respect to the big budget. Let's step ahead on that. We've got the university system. We have the TCSG. We have the libraries. We have the independent colleges that have their advocacy, and then we have the student finance, and now workforce development. And we have the bond package. We'll talk about recommendations and that type of thing that we'll make to the full committee. And as you know, I usually ask for your individual recommendations rather than going through the dog and pony show, bringing each president in here and making them beg for a project. I never thought that was very good use of their time. So, but so if there's anything in particular you guys want to talk about, let me know, and we'll set up some meetings so that we can bring in those who can testify questions. Chairman Jaspers was just asking me about dual enrollment and the and some of the budgetary implications, some of the policy implications that your committee is going to deal with more on the policy side. But we have a significant budgetary implication as well. Our budget analyst was just telling me about asking me about some of the sustainability of the current budget appropriation with respect to that, and with the growth projections, we might want to look at that as a little bit deeper conversation at some of these meetings. So anything else any of you got on your mind that you really want to get into? Don't push a button, because I don't have the little floor map. It's disappeared somehow. I've got just this microphone, so you'll have to speak up. Yes, sir. Chairman.
At some point, have more regions kind of, I know they've done a study on the future, looking at future needs and bond packages set aside. 2020 or 2030, I can probably answer that, but I know they've got a report that's supposed to be out soon. And I hope they can come for us and kind of give us a heads up on what's on that.
Okay. I think from the budgetary side, Roland, you think you guys could provide a briefing for us on that? I thought, and I've seen some of the early communication, but I haven't seen, especially for this committee, the budgetary side of that report. Thank you. Okay, good idea. Yes, sir. Chairman Knight.
First of all, kudos to not only this committee and the General Assembly and the governor. We've been partnering with this economic development. I think the state is moving in the right direction. I think we need to continue to focus on what's coming out of our higher learning institutions, our colleges and technical colleges, to make sure that we're really focusing our limited resources to make sure that we're meeting the needs of industry business out there. And make sure that we're not wasting resources in other places that really aren't providing a return from a perspective of moving the state forward and making it as attractive as it can be.
I completely agree, Chairman Knight, and I think that's probably, although I don't know, some of the reasoning behind why the governor's office put the economic development over here in the higher education side of the equation, because they go together, like you just stated. The TCSG, the regents, and the ideas, the intellectual capital, the incubation of new businesses and current businesses that are supported by our educational system. There's something we just can't leave behind, and this committee now has an opportunity with that economic development. That's a large budget unit, so we have an oversight role in that now. What? Mm-hmm. Agreed. Yes, sir. Chairman Battles. I think that's a great idea. I think, Neil, you're here. I think we can do that. As you saw, that we have a new chairman of technical college system, and he is a former Bulldog, so I'm sure we'll get the right kind of information. No, nothing personal, Dean, but played football for Georgia, so obviously there's a efficacy and a knowledge base there. So we'll get. That's fair enough. I was leading down that road. Neil, if you could heads up the commissioner that's a good idea. Probably get some of it through the Quick Start data and that type of thing. That'll give you a starting place for where the corporation. Could you hear Chairman Battles, Neil?
Yes, sir, we have.
Okay, just Neil Benning with the technical colleges is back there. Okay. Oh, yeah, I think we have another a former agency senior executive here on the committee as a new vice chairman here too. So he probably has a little bit of knowledge of what's going on there. Did you have something?
Not necessarily. I mean, I think obviously they're better equipped to do it, but you have advisory councils within a lot of different programs, and TCSG is extremely responsive with respect to industry. I don't think they have. You go from college to college and you'd find out that most likely you're not going to find any programs that either don't have any students much in it or are not serving the needs of specific industry or business in that arena. And I think the university system's moving in that direction as well. But anyway, I know that question wasn't for me, so
Well, I appreciate the sharing
yes, sir.
of information. I was just wondering if, I have not seen reports from either group as to what the outside is asking of these institutions. So I don't know what the demand factor might be. It would be interesting to me, and I think to you, if we had some.
Yes, sir.
We'll leave that to our resident expert too. That's nice to have one of those.
No, he just played golf.
He's good. He's good at that too. All right. Any other questions? I do know one of the things that we consistently struggle with in this committee, and I wanted to bring this up because I want to be supportive of this effort, but the independent colleges have come to me and asked if we could put together a study committee on the tuition equalization grants and the effects there, because we generally make a decision generally late in the year, and I'd like to have a lot more to instruct our decisions. And I told them I thought a study committee on that would be a good idea. And if you've found a sponsor for that study committee or just the basic tenets, Dr. Baxter and Jet, just let us know. I think there have been members of the committee would like to. I'd rather make these as informed decisions rather than. So I think it's past time. It's been a lot of years since we really had a long discussion about the equalization grants. So I think it'd be helpful. So anybody that has a real burning interest in that, because that is a significant part of a budget to a lot of students in this state, and it has some consequences when we make decisions on it. Anybody else? Well, I had told you 15 minutes, and I'm kind of right on that. So I think some of the others are coming in. I'll let you know when we're going to have a meeting to vote this. If you've got any heartburn or anything on this 18 amended, please let me know. I've been through it. It took all of 10 minutes because there just isn't that much changing the recommendations or anything moving forward. But let's keep giving me your ideas of what we want to do. I want to spend some time this year on the 19. I think we've got some things we can really get together on and do some good work. Okay. Everyone, thank you for joining us this morning, and continue to communicate with us. Meeting adjourned.